Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar, Navigating the Creative Placemaking Toolkit. My name is Melissa Kim, and I'm a Senior Program Officer here at LISC. And we're all here together as part of the LISC Institute. The LISC Institute, its purpose is to share resources on how to turn cutting-edge community development ideas into action. Building on the experience of LISC's network and partners, and the broader field, we provide training, resources, and guidance on strategies that forge resilient and inclusive communities of opportunity across America. So today, we're really happy to be teaming up with the LISC Creative Placemaking Program and the National Endowment for the Arts to share this new resource. I want to introduce one of our presenters today, Jen Hughes, the Design and Creative Placemaking Director for the NEA.
Joe, can you go to the next slide, please? Sorry. Thanks.
Jen, do you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. So great to be with you. Great to dive into this wonderful resource and connect. And I just want to make sure you also get to see Catherine as well, who might want to say hello.
Hey, folks. Thanks for joining. Excited to check out this resource alongside you. Oh, I should say I'm the program officer with the Art Town program and work with Jen at the National Endowment for the Arts.
Thanks, Catherine. And Lynn, do you want to say hello?
I do. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're really excited about launching this resource with the National Endowment for the Arts. We've had a lot of people work on this. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I do want to also say thank you to Melissa Kim, who was a really important partner in creating this resource and worked really closely with us early on in the process. So Melissa, thanks for all your amazing input and your leadership in the creative placemaking space as well. So thanks.
Oh, thanks, Lynn. I want to share a little bit about LISC. Thank you. So LISC has been around for 40 years, and LISC supports projects that revitalize communities by providing capital, strategy, and know-how to community-based organizations across the country. Through 37 local offices, a rural program that reaches more than 2,200 counties in 45 states, and LISC-founded affiliates and entities, LISC works with a vast network of community-based partners to make investments in housing, businesses, jobs, education, safety, and health. LISC's Creative Placemaking Program helps local partners integrate arts and culture into their community development work to bring about positive social, physical, and economic changes in low-income neighborhoods. And I want to pass it off now to Catherine.
Thanks.
Sure. All right. I can take it. If Joe, you want to advance the slide. Thanks. So just a word about the National Endowment for the Arts. We're a federal agency. Of course, we work in partnership with regional, state, local offices. We work in partnership with other federal agencies. We work in partnership with cooperators like LISC. But most folks know us for our grant making work. We run competitive grant programs such as Our Town, if you want to advance the slide, Joe. And Our Town has been around for a decade now. And for 10 years, we've been making awards that support creative placemaking. So to us, this really means integrating arts and culture and community development work into strategies that strive to strengthen communities by really thinking about new roles that arts and culture can play to advance local social, economic, or physical goals. And the North Star for this program and for our projects that we fund is really to lay the groundwork for change that's going to last. We call that systems change. So this would be a shift in a way of working that really sustains the incorporation of arts, culture, design, the work of culture bearers, the contributions of cultural institutions into comprehensive strategies that address economic, physical, and social goals. Want to advance the slide? And so, yeah, by economic outcomes, we're really talking about supporting economic opportunity for artists and creative entrepreneurs. Of course, supporting the cultural sector can have economic benefits for folks beyond the art sector alone. Advance. Social outcomes, here we see a really strong theme throughout the work we fund, really helping build connection, either across physical divides, across social divides, across histories of trust, or yeah, different factors that have separated us across various lines. We've actually just issued a report with a bunch of partners called Placemaking, looking at the role of arts and culture in social cohesion, which speaks further to this theme. And if you want to advance. And of course, a lot of folks think first about physical outcomes. Arts and culture, of course, can beautify spaces, but in in creative placemaking, I think we're really looking at the process by which that happens. So what are the community engagement processes? What are the innovative design processes that can help communities find ways to express culture, express ownership, really collaborate in defining the way spaces look and feel and are accessible. And we talked about this a little bit already. Systems change is that improved capacity to sustain the integration of arts and culture and design practice into these strategies for advancing local goals into the long term. Ultimately, I think the program, our town is a national grant making program. And I think we hope that by helping to support this kind of systems change in enough cross-sectoral community development circumstances and enough communities of all different size all across the country, that ultimately we're really shifting the way community development work happens across the US to really make arts, culture, and design a better recognized and important strategy in this kind of work. And so in the last 2 years, this is just sort of a snapshot of how we've worked. You can kind of get a sense of what our portfolio looks and feels like. You see that a substantial proportion of the awards we make are actually in rural and tribal communities, really a mix between rural, small community and large community contexts. We make a lot of awards to folks who have never received federal funding, never received funding from the National Endowment for the Arts before. And so it's a really diverse portfolio. It also means that we have a portfolio that has some specific needs for the kind of technical assistance resources we're going to talk about in this presentation. Now, I'd like to introduce my director, Jen Hughes, who's going to speak more about technical assistance and the work we've done along those lines so far.
Wonderful. Thanks, Catherine. So now that you're sort of teed up a bit in terms of the framing for the Our Town Creative Placemaking program and how we really conceive of this work, and this is really all from ground up learnings from our grantees over the past decade. So I think that's worthwhile to note. So let's move on to the next slide. I just want to ground the presentation of the toolkit in a little bit of history. So starting back in 2016, the National Endowment for the Arts partnered with LISC and PolicyLink to pilot a technical assistance program to provide support to Our Town grantees who are executing their projects. And developing this pilot program wouldn't have been possible without the generous investment by the Arts and Culture Program at the Kresge Foundation, who we are immensely grateful for really helping to pilot this really important work. And the idea being that we know that creative placemaking takes a long time, it can be messy, building new partnerships can certainly pose challenges, and folks really sort of desire some additional support in making their way through the various phases and stages of a creative placemaking project. So this pilot program really helped to land the groundwork for the publicly available toolkits we have, as well as technical assistance that we continue today in partnership with LISC. So let's go to the next slide. So what I really just want to acknowledge here is that the networks of support and connection that are built through technical assistance really help local leaders enhance projects that integrate the arts as a tool to strengthen communities. And the idea being here that we're really trying to set the stage for that longer term systems change, acknowledging that technical assistance can really help grantees to build stronger partnerships, conduct deeper community engagement, and really to do better, more sustainable work. So in the next slide, you'll see that we've been doing this type of technical assistance since 2016. And through our work with communities across the country, we've discovered a slate of core competencies that can make or break the success of creative placemaking projects. And I want to just give a special shout out to Liz Crane, formerly of Art Place America, who's thought deeply about some of these core competency areas in what it takes to lay the groundwork for success. And we also learned this from our pilot grantees that we engaged deeply. First, defining shared values. Second, building shared partnerships. Third, community engagement, evaluation and performance measurement, project documentation, and building momentum for really thinking about that sustainability element. We also have been asked some really tactical questions, like how do we do asset mapping? How do we set up an artist residency? How do we conceive of some of these new approaches that we might be embarking on for the very first time? I think a really obvious one is we're always thinking about how do we do project budgeting as well as financing to support this work, both within the grant period of our town support, which requires a match, but really beyond. How is it a part of the future way that a community really resources work in supporting arts, culture, and design, because there's a recognition of the enormous contribution they make to the well-being in community. And last but not least, this may seem incredibly obvious, but we think it's really important to call out, how to work with artists, how to do that equitably, and how to really think about different approaches to engaging artists in project design. So really thinking in the entire lifespan of a creative placemaking project from the outset through the execution. So in the next slide, we've seen these areas of interest and need come up again and again in our work over the last 5 years. And we've created some incredible programs and resources to help our grantees in their work. It's been wonderful to work with a resource team that comes from a diverse disciplinary background and really works directly with the Our Town grantees in their areas of expertise, peer-to-peer learning sessions, and more formalized learning opportunities. But we really strove to make sure that we could bring some of these resources and areas of learning to scale and to a more public audience, which really has resulted in this incredible toolkit, which offers a really curated group of helpful tools based on the areas that have come up from our potential applicants in the Our Town program, as well as communities that are engaging in this work that we get questions and inquiries on. So on the next slide, today we're really excited to share this new website-based toolkit where you can build knowledge and walk step by step through the placemaking process. Of course, this work isn't so linear, but we really wanted to provide some framing and structure. So if you're just getting started, or if you've done this for a long time, you can sort of shortcut your way throughout various elements of the toolkit that might be useful to proceed in the execution of your project work. So inside this toolkit, you'll find worksheets that you can print and complete with project partners as you think together about your project goals. There are also videos produced by our team featuring various experts in the field, alongside recordings of webinars from other parts of our technical assistance program, kind of lifting up some really incredibly compelling Our Town grantee projects. And all of these are available to the broader public for this very first time through the website. We also have complimentary links to highlight and lift up the knowledge building grant resources that the National Endowment for the Arts has been investing in over the last 5 years, as well as a curated selection of excellent supplementary resources created by our trusted partners and friends. So there's a lot out there. There are a lot of resources on community development, as well as creative placemaking, and we know that it can sometimes be really hard to know quite where to start. So the goal of this toolkit was really to bring it all together in one intuitive and inviting place. And we're so excited to share this all with you today. It's been a long time in the making, and I can just vouch that the Our Town team, Catherine and I, have already been using it really as an instructive resource to help our applicants build the skills they need to be successful in the years and projects ahead, to really think thoughtfully about how to structure a strong application. And we just really are thrilled to roll it out, to hear from you about what makes sense, what's working, what else you'd like to see. And I think Lynn will dive a little bit into that as she previews the various sections of the site. So thanks for being here today, and looking forward to hearing more from all of you. So I'm going to hand it over to Lynn, so she can just give you a little preview, a little teaser to see what's up there. Thanks.
Thanks, Catherine. We might have just a little, oh, here we go. We may just have a little bit of hiccup. Joe's gonna actually move us over to the website. So I will just do a few acknowledgements before we get there. I want to just really thank, like Jen said, this has been a long time in the making, and has gone through multiple iterations. It actually started out as a workshop curriculum that we designed for communities to use, working with the Philadelphia office, which was where Melissa really had a huge impact, working with the team on creating this curriculum, and also David Ferris, who's also now at the Highlander Center in working there. So I want to really acknowledge Barbara Schaefer-Bacon from Americans for the Arts, and Craig Driesen, a cultural planner who's been working in this space for a very long time, who really worked with us on and helped us to create that curriculum. And Aviva Kapust from the Village of Arts and Humanities, who's the executive director there, who really kind of was our rudder in the work. PolicyLink also was really involved with the first iteration of TA and really helped us discover all of these different core competencies, working with the grantees in the sort of first pilot program that we ran from 2016 to 2018. Rebecca Chan, who was my colleague here at LISC for a number of years, who's now at the Rail Park in Philadelphia. And I want to just thank her for her incredible work on this. The other folks that really had a major impact were Lynn Osgood of Civic Arts in Austin, Texas, and Margie Waller from Art on the Streets, who helped us really distill down a lot of the material. And finally, I just want to say thank you and recognize Hannah Leatherman, who was a fellow with our organization from January till the spring of this year, of May, from the Brown Public Humanities Program, and has now joined the team as a contractor working with us. And she's done a lot of the work on the actual website itself. So thank you to all of those folks. We actually have an acknowledgements page because there were so many people involved. So if you want to read more about that, you can check that out. So here's the tour. We're going to start this tour. And I just want to recognize Joe Chiampi, who is our tech today, who's sort of managing a whole bunch of stuff as we move through all these different aspects of technology and letting people into rooms. So Joe, do you want to just say hi to everybody real quick so they can see your face? And
hello. Hi, everybody. You could, I think
all
you can
right,
see
he
me.
doesn't want to show his face, but
no,
okay.
hello.
There he is.
Sorry, it's just clicking. Hello.
So, okay, so Joe's going to help me navigate through the website as I talk through some of how it's working, and we'll go from there. If you have any questions at all that come up for you, please put them in the chat. And also, just want to also mention that if you hang around through the whole presentation, you end up with a little more information at the end. Jen and Catherine are going to talk about the upcoming grant deadline for the Our Town project, which is in August. So there's still time to get your project together and submit a proposal. So please stick around to hear that information at the end. So we're going to start just by we're going to start from the LISC homepage. If you want to join along with us, we've also put the link to the landing page for the toolkit in the chat, I believe. But you can also just stay here because we're going to be showing some videos and things like that. So if you just go, we'll just start from the very beginning. If you land on our homepage and we go to initiatives, we will then scroll down to creative placemaking. And then over to the creative placemaking technical assistance pages. And here you will find two links, one to the creative placemaking toolkit, which we'll hold off on for just a sec, and another one that says programs for Our Town grantees. This section of the website is really set up for the Our Town grantees that are currently underway in their projects. And Joe, you can go ahead and click on that. And it really is sort of the knowledge bank for the work that we're doing with the Our Town grantees. It includes our resource team bios, it includes videos from our peer exchanges, and then also so this is the list of the technical assistance offerings we offer to Our Town grantees. And so if you are an Our Town grantee, or you may be one in the future and you want to connect with us on this technical assistance, we highly encourage people to be part of that. Jen talked about it a little bit already. But the one thing that's really this page is really set up for the grantees, but the Our Town Learning Labs are actually something that are, if you want to just go up there and click on that, Joe, sorry, back to the Our Town Learning Lab, yeah. Oops, that's not good. Let's go back. Sorry about that. I was there earlier. Try from the other side. Go up. That's the link we need to fix. Hannah, make a note of that. Go to the March 2021 Learning Lab. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So the March 2021 Learning Labs, the lab that we did in March. And if you scroll down, you'll find all of the sessions and all of the materials that we use during those sessions. And so those are materials that are available to you to look at. They're all just recordings of webinars. Those are also sprinkled into the Our Town resource, into the toolkit. So let's go back to the toolkit now. And let's start with just the landing page. So if you want to, let's go just start with the introduction to creative placemaking page. Great. So as Jen mentioned, there are all kinds of different resources on these pages. We're gonna, sorry, I'm doing two screens and it's a little challenging, so bear with me. Okay, so we've created this resource to really assist you navigate through a project and prepare or work on one. So in terms of like how to use the toolkit, you can so there's two navigation screens. There's the sidebar there at the top, and then at the bottom, there's the contents. We want to really emphasize that this is like the best place to probably, just in terms of like sharing this with your partners, I would just send them right to the toolkit page. It's easy, then people can actually see where they're coming from. So there are pages here for all kinds of project needs, as Jen said, including shared values and working through hiring artists and all that good stuff. Let's start with the introduction to creative placemaking page, which we're on, and let's just work through it a little bit. So it starts with an opening section with just some narrative about why creative placemaking is important. If we scroll down a little bit more, there's a video that features Catherine Bray-Simons talking about the theory of change. We're not going to watch that right now. Then just, a little bit of information about what makes creative placemaking different than traditional arts and cultural projects. You'll also see we start with our worksheets there. We're not going to open those yet, but as we scroll down a little bit more, we get to a little more information and then keep going down. Sorry, this is a little crazy. We've got another little video, and actually, why don't we play that video, Joe, and share it with folks, because it's kind of nice and it's short. And it will give me a second to regroup.
Creative placemaking is a really big tent to invite folks into the conversation, from the arts and cultural sectors to the mayors and local leaders in community to economic developers, to really advance issues that are important in your community.
Creative placemaking is engaging artists and community members and folks across cultures, across sectors, to think about how we can make our neighborhoods really great places to live, work, and play.
Creative placemaking is bringing people together, really thinking about why art, culture, and heritage are important to communities, thinking about what's possible and how we can use these strategies to provoke change.
To me, creative placemaking is like being a sower. You're planting seeds, you're hoping to see a wonderful panoply of flowers coming up.
Art placemaking is the bridge to each of our hearts.
Creative placemaking is embracing who you are and lifting your community.
Creative placemaking is an evolving practice where we bring cultural assets together to increase the quality of place and space.
Creative placemaking is celebrating the life of a community.
Creative placemaking is a way for artists to bring their unique skills to community development processes, to make these processes more inclusive, more engaging, more equitable, more inspiring, more meaningful.
Creative placemaking is a way for communities to really determine how they want to grow and shape their neighborhood.
Okay, thanks, Joe. You can switch back now to the website. All right, I'm a little more centered now. Why don't we go back to the partnership basics page? We're gonna go scroll back up and then partnership basics. Okay, so we often find that folks are really looking for resources to build strong partnerships, and there's a lot of content on the site to support that work. Here's where we're really starting at the beginning to provide a step-by-step prompts for each stage of partnership formation. Some of this may seem really basic to some of you, but we know that strong partnerships don't happen by accident, and we see time and time again that this is a challenge in a lot of communities. They really take work and they really take a lot of care and time. So we're hoping that really spelling out these guiding questions and principles will help more of the folks doing this work really get set up for success from the very beginning. So to help practitioners think through the process, we've created, this is actually a pretty dense page. So Joe, I'm just gonna ask that you kind of scroll down slowly. So the way these pages are set up is we set it up and then we kind of give you some really, straightforward bullets and then keep going. And then some questions to think about, and then we start getting into the worksheets again. Could you scroll down a little faster there? And then, so you can see there's a lot of different sort of helpful tips here, and then keep moving down. We're going to go down to the worksheets at the bottom, Joe, and I just want to share one of the worksheets. So the who's on your team worksheet's kind of nice. You want to know the one at the bottom, who's on your team. There you go. You want to just open that up. So each of these worksheets has sort of instructions on how to use it, and then just very simple kind of prompts. So in this one in particular, it's really thinking about who are you putting on your team, who might be missing from your team, who do you need to add, and there's some questions and prompts. And so if you're working together with a group, you could download this worksheet and use it in your work. Okay, we can go back to the website. And so those worksheets all came out of that curriculum that I was talking about that we developed with Americans for the Arts in the Philly office early on. If we go down to the bottom of this page, though, I think we get to, yeah, keep going. So then there's this section, stop there, with additional resources. So each page has an additional resource section. They have, pithy headers like engage and watch. So in the engage space, it's usually that we're listing another resource that's either a print resource or another website. In this example, the Municipal Artist Partnership Toolkit is actually created by A Blade of Grass and Americans for the Arts, and it was funded with an Our Town Knowledge Building grant. So this is a great resource to dig more deeply into just municipal artist partnerships. There's also a bevy of tools and lots of great resources on that page. So instead of us building out a whole section on that, we're just asking you to go look at it on this other beautiful website that's been designed by A Blade of Grass, and also been supported by the Our Town Knowledge, the knowledge building projects of the design division of the NEA. There's a few others there as well. And then at the bottom, there is a video recording of one of our Learning Lab sessions by Scott Oshima that is really entertaining, but also offers very tactical advice on how to build a good partnership. And so Scott is really exceptional in presenting this material and making it exciting and fun to watch. And so I think we're going to just show you a little bit of that so you get a taste of what the video. They're not all this entertaining and they're not all this fun, but it just to show you how tactical and the information that's presented is. I think if it will play. We were a little loath to act. Oh, here we go.
These are some of my takeaways, I think, from this experience and this partnership is really, at the beginning, it's really about getting to know each other and, not just as organizations and what your values are as organizations or groups or people working together, but really getting to know each other as people, as individuals. I'm really not kidding. Like Kristen, Grant, and I and our whole staff and team are like a family. Whenever we're invited to speak at things, it's just like three hooligans that are just like laughing with each other. And that's like the most ideal kind of relationship, right? Your partners and your friends. But of course, you don't have to be friends, but it helps to just like have a trusting relationship and learn each other's communication styles and to work together on a project, do something together to get to know each other. That's oftentimes the best way to learn about one another's orgs or groups or values is just to do work together. The reality is that partnerships are difficult and messy and complicated, and and there's ways to kind of scaffold it. There's ways to prepare yourself for that, and so that is. I'm trying to read this backwards. So I get you really like if once again if your values and where you're going and if you have a shared vision of what you want to do together, then it'll work out. And so I put it's about shared values, or as one of my teachers once said, finding out where your perversities align.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So you can get a sense of how you might actually want to, use some of these resources with your partners as well. Jen, Catherine, do you have anything you want to share right at this point? I just want to give you an opportunity to weigh in.
I think that just kind of acknowledging, again, how you might all think about these various tools being useful. If you, for example, if you are readying an application for the August 5th deadline for the Our Town program, I think that they can offer both inspiration and framing to enter some of those conversations about some of those new partners that might be across a different sector that you're engaging for the first time. We often sort of get questions, requests for feedback in trying to understand like what does a really strong, deep partnership look like? And so I think that some of these resources really illuminate that. Some of them are instructional, as Scott's little segment there, as well as some just really brilliant case studies and how folks sort of shared their story of how they built that partnership with arts and a non-arts sector. So just wanted to add that little lib. And yes, totally favorite presentation, exceptional resource team member, Scott Oshima. So I'm glad we got a chance to profile them.
All right, let's just maybe look at one more page and then we'll jump back over to Jen to present on the Our Town grant opportunity and answer any questions. I'm sure there's not a whole lot of questions on this. But Joe, can you just go over to the community engagement page? I think Catherine may also want to chime in on this one a little bit. There we go. Okay, so, and just scroll down, you'll see all the same things. Actually, I just want to call out Forklift Dance Company on this page because they do exceptional work in Austin, Texas, and have done incredible community engagement projects with the community around lots of different municipal issues. This project they're talking about is basically the Austin city was having to close down a bunch of public pools. They have over 30 public pools in the city that were built during the WPA, and they were in the middle of a whole new pool plan, and Forklift came in and helped them engage the community in thinking about what pools meant to the community of Austin. So it's a really great program. And it also just shows the incredible partnership that they built with the Parks Department, and how profound it was in terms of the relationships and the way that it changed perception, not only about the community from the Parks Department changed their perception of community, but also the community changed their perception of city employees. And it's really, really great. So anyway, community engagement is another one of those things that obviously is a big part of this work. And Catherine, did you want to just chime in? I know you had some thoughts on why this was an important page to share with the group today.
Yeah, I think, in particularly like timely for this year and the previous round of Our Town, it was such a competitive round. We had such amazing proposals, and our review panelists, we really heard them keying into the way that applicants were talking about community engagement. And so I would encourage folks, whether you're mid-project and looking into these resources, or if you are thinking about an Our Town application for the upcoming deadline, check out what we have here. Check out some of these ideas, some of this latest thinking about community engagement. I think it's never too late to kind of refresh your thinking and philosophy, and kind of like polish up what tools you have, bring in some new ones. And the final thing is, like, creative placemaking is about process, right? And how can arts and culture expand and improve these processes? And community engagement is obviously core to that. And so when we look at the ultimate outcomes we're striving for, right, those systems change pieces, like partnership, the community engagement piece really needs to be strong and responsive and relevant. So just echoing, or encouraging to spend some time with the community engagement section in here.
Thanks, Catherine. And just one other quick call out before we kind of switch over to learning more about the Our Town grant opportunity. Just want to scroll down and just kind of, so hiring artists has also been one of the things that comes up. How do you hire artists equitably? How are you inclusive in the community? How do we do our work and in an equitable way that actually honors and allows opportunity for artists who may not always be part of these projects in terms of traditional arts and culture. So there's a great video from actually of Ina Anderson, who's actually a former LISCer, who was the deputy director in the Kansas City office, talking about hiring artists along with Michael Toombs. They were actually both featured in that opening segment, which also now still, I realize, needs no lower thirds. But one of the other resources that's here is actually for artists. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, I just want to share another, there's a lot of hiring artist stuff here. Oh, wait, maybe it's not on this page. Is it the handbook? Shoot. Okay, let's, yeah, engage. Stop it, engage, Joe, go back to engage. Yeah, right here, stop there. All right, so the Handbook for Working Artists and Community by Springboard for the Arts is another brand new resource that they just put out. They've got a bevy of amazing resources, but this is another one of the resources that was funded by a knowledge building grant, and it's really specifically for artists. So many of you on this call may not be artists, but you may be working with artists in your community, and you may be, it's often hard to find the artists that actually understand all this and how to approach working in community. So that's a great resource for artists that you might be working with, and it would be really helpful for you to share with them. So I just wanted to point that out. I think we're going to go back to just the landing page for the toolkit and get, actually, Joe, we can actually just switch back over to the slides now, because we're going to have Jen. So before we get to Jen, if you have any questions about the toolkit, please put them in the chat. Again, we're also looking for your input. So please send us any feedback that you have. You can send it directly to me at lmccormick@lisc.org, which should also be in the chat. We'll also be adding a feedback portal probably by the end of this week. So hopefully you can just put your feedback in there. We hope that you use this resource. We hope that you share this resource. We hope you use this resource with partners and that it's actually helpful. And we really love to hear from you. So thanks for spending the time with us today. Going through a website isn't exactly an exciting thing. So, but we're really excited about the resource. So thank you for being here with us. I'm going to switch it over to Jen right now, and she's going to actually talk about the Our Town grant opportunity.
Hey, thanks, Lynn. Thanks for that great introduction. Thanks to all of you. Just kind of want to leave you with some hopeful sort of perhaps to-dos as you depart from our time today. Please check out the toolkit. And also, I wanted to make sure that the Our Town grant program was on your radar. We know we have folks in the audience who may be grantees or folks who might be learning about this program for the very first time. So just given that we have an open opportunity right now, we want to make sure we put that out there for all of you. I think Catherine really succinctly introduced the Our Town program at the outset, and we fund project grants through this program, 1 to 2 year projects, which are all about the integration of arts, culture, and design to strengthen community, with the goal of helping achieve a community's desired outcomes. So some potential local outcomes could be economic, physical, or social change. We lifted up these 3 key tenets of the program. These were areas that panelists were incredibly vocal as they reviewed project applications in really sussing out the strength and competitiveness of the applications, including the strength of the cross-sector partnerships, the really thoughtful and deep inclusive community engagement, and really tapping new modes of thinking about engagement, which we hope our toolkit will be a great resource for you to offer some of that inspiration. And then lastly, really centering artists, designers, and culture bearers at every step in your local project and process. So really keeping that in mind and making sure you are resourcing them for your project budget. And I think, again, Catherine hit on this, but just wanted to emphasize, we are looking to fund and support projects that are laying the groundwork for longer term systems change, really thinking about what is the sustained way of working into every phase of community development, having arts and culture and design as a part of that beyond the grant period and well into the future. So on the next slide, just to get into some of the mechanics of the program, we have a whole other webinar for that, which we'll share a link with you at the end. But just want to flag that for the Our Town program, we require a partnership between a local government or a federally recognized tribal government and at least one nonprofit 501c3 organization. So one of the 2 primary partners must be an arts, culture, or design organization. And so just kind of wanted to flag that in terms of, really acknowledging the importance of partnership and the success of these local projects. This is a requirement of the program. So just kind of closing out here, giving you a little teaser on the next slide. The Our Town grants are for supporting projects from $25,000 up to $150,000. These are one-to-one cost share match grants. So you need to find resources to complement the NEA's investment, but we're really flexible in working with grantees to make sure that we can support projects that might include in-kind services, donated time, donated resource, donated space. So I would just say, if you are thinking about this, check out our website, some key dates to note. Just want to flag, we did a really in-depth webinar kind of going into all the mechanics of how to apply, but also just offering some reflection from our grant panel process this year. So check out our June 30th recording of our webinar on our website if you want to get oriented to the program and sort of what it takes to apply. And then just 2 key dates to flag. August 5th is the Part 1 grants.gov deadline. So if you are interested in submitting a project proposal, a 1 to 2 year project proposal that really aligns with the grant guidelines, you want to make sure you meet that deadline, as we can't accept late applications. And then Part 2, between August 10th and 17th, is really where you submit the meat of your application, meaning the project narrative, budget, key individuals. So you still have about a month before all of those details really need to be fleshed out in the proposal. So with that, I see some links being dropped into the chat. Check out our grant guidelines, check out our webinar and other applicant resources. We also have a great list of our most recently funded Our Town grantees up there, just so you can see what communities all across the country are responding to this call and how they're really working in partnership on really compelling systems change. And then if questions come up, we are accessible. Catherine and I and our colleague Courtney are always responsive to those email inquiries at ot@arts.gov. So we hope to see you browsing through the toolkit, hope to see you in future touch points on this topic. And it's been a real pleasure to be with you all today. Lynn, I'll toss it back to you, and thanks everyone.
Okay, and thanks everyone. Joe, if you want to just take the slideshow down and just maybe ask and bring us all back, that would be awesome. Thanks. So thank you all for being here today with us. Hopefully this was helpful and it gave you a little sense of the toolkit and the opportunities that exist around creative placemaking. Melissa, do you want to have any final words from the Institute?
Thank you all for joining us.
So thanks everyone. It doesn't seem like any questions have come in, so we're just going to give you 10 minutes of time back. So thank you so much for being here. This will be recorded and up on our website within the next few days. So if you want to send it off to your friends or share it with folks, it'll be available. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.